Zero here, and welcome to the episode 0 of my Lobotomy Corporation lore run. Before everything else, what is a lore run? So, a lore run is basically a 100% playthrough of a game where you slowly unravel everything in the game. You're unraveling the lore of the game. So, it's kinda a mix between a usual let's play. A usual let's play goes through the game, sometimes goes 100%, sometimes just goes the best way to show what the game has to offer. But this is more of a 100% run mixed with a speed run. So we're trying our best to avoid wasting your time. So if you watch this series on YouTube, this will be heavily edited to cut off some of the slower parts of the gameplay. And in addition, it's also more of a educational run. So it's going to teach some of the things that isn't really taught in the manual and in the tutorial. So my main influences here, or my inspiration for this run would be the Bloodborne and the Soulsborne playthroughs, lore playthroughs, like this one from Jesus. And similarly, the raid series for Escape from Tarkov by Pestilli. Anyway, so why a lore run? Why not just a simple let's play? So mainly because Lobotomy Corporation, let's admit it, it's a very hard game, and again, let's admit that people start playing this game, then they kinda lose interest because it gets really hard in the later parts of the game. So I'd like to make my own personal 100% playthrough so more people can enjoy the game's story and setting. And at the same time, I'd like to be the change I want to be. Mainly, I want to avoid the rampant problem of very spoilery video thumbnails for Let's Plays. Also, as I mentioned, lore run can be educational. So, what I'd like this series to be is to be more leaning towards the raid series, in that it should teach other people how to play the game. And it's sort of kind of paying it forward, kind of like how I experienced it with Sinvictus run. So hopefully someone else would stumble upon this playthrough in YouTube or some other video site and watch a few episodes, learn how the game works, and not have the wrong initial impressions of what the game is all about, and play the game blind on their own. And hopefully they'll also enjoy the very hard journey in managing Lobotomy Corporation. Also, the rules are in the description of the video, or if you're going to be watching me on Twitch, it's going to be in the description of my Twitch page. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's begin the game. Right, so Lobotomy Corporation, Face of Fear, Build the Future. In this lore run, we are taking the role of, well, the protagonist. We shall soon see what the protagonist is and who the protagonist is. So for this episode 0, I am just going to go through the tutorial and read through the manual. So without further ado, let's start the game from scratch. So veteran players or people already playing the game, if you want to start from scratch, you can just control click the L. And hopefully you've backed up your save. Your save file is under it's under your local low project moon, project underscore moon lobotomy directory. Just back up that folder and you'll be done. Anyway, let's go through the tutorial. First off, management. Initializing system. Accelerating energy convection, activating memory repository, and so on. Hello, manager. Welcome to Lobotomy Corporation. Starting today, you are responsible for managing the abnormalities we have and ensuring that we meet the daily energy quota. Okay, so what do we have here? We have you're the manager, and this seems to be what we're managing. You can move the camera with the WASD keys on your keyboard. You can also press and hold the secondary mouse button, right mouse button, and drag the mouse. Okay. You can zoom the screen in and out with the F and G keys on your keyboard. The scroll wheel on the mouse can also be used. Let's try a simple maneuver. When you hover your mouse over an agent, some information about them will be shown in the top right corner. Please try selecting an agent by pressing the primary mouse button, left mouse button. So it should show up here. Okay, just hovering it shows the description, but let's just follow the tutorial and click it. Well done. The information displayed in the panel on the right is related to the selected agent. Some of this information is vital, such as their statistics and ego equipment. Please view the section in the manager's manual titled The Agents for more details about what this information means. So we have 1 days in the control team. So we have Rose. She's a quiet newbie. She's got a standard ride stick and a standard uniform. And there's some icons here. She's got level 2 fortitude with a max HP of 40, prudence of 2, max SP of 35, temperance 2, work success is 32, work speed is 32, justice is also 2, attack speed of 32, and movement speed 32, and plus 4. And let's zoom a bit. The bar at the top left of the screen displays the amount of energy you need to collect to end the day. The top right corner lists what missions you are able to attempt today. So we've got this guy and we've got this guy. So we need to complete 20, I guess. And we need to complete 3 works. Our company produces energy when a product called positive enkephalin, PE, a green box, is released by an abnormality. An abnormality generates PE boxes while it is being worked on. Please click on the containment unit holding an abnormality with the primary mouse button. Right, let's just do the WASD thing. This is the containment unit she was mentioning. Okay, so we've got Rose and we've got a couple of clerks. We got Epsilon 0 and Eta 1. I thought I'd never win against an abnormality back then, but now I feel I just might be able to. White newbie. So please click on the containment unit holding an abnormality with the primary mouse button. Since you have yet to unlock any information about this abnormality, you have no way of knowing how it will respond to the 4 different work types. In order to learn this information, an agent will need to perform a work on it. For now, please select the first work type available, instinct work. So we have instinct work. We still don't have any information about this guy, what we call an abnormality. So just click instinct. So, instinct work satiates an abnormality's physiological needs and desires. When an agent conducts instinct work, their fortitude will increase at the end of the day, raising their health points. Now, please click on the agent. So, what this means is to get the positive enkephalin, the energy from this abnormality, doing this work is satiates the physiological needs. And when an agent does this, they essentially level up their fortitude the more they do it. So this is how you level up your agents. You do work. Now please click on the agent. So once you highlight it, it says she's got level 2 instinct and arrival is low. Each work you can request your agent to perform in an abnormality have a different result. Success rate for each work type will also vary between abnormalities. If your employee is not mentally ready, abnormalities may appear more frightening or disturbing to them. So, not so much. Rose is calm after meeting the abnormality. As such, they may receive fear damage when encountering abnormalities, which will lower their sanity points. So we've got SP. That's not spell points, that's sanity points. Employees of a lower grade will take more fear damage from encounters with abnormalities of higher risk levels. We still haven't known what the risk level here is, but sure. Let's zoom in. Just don't get it in your head and stick with the manual. She began her instinct work process. And let's just click. Okay, got our flavor text here. Zero is a training dummy who sincerely believes he is an employee of our facility. And this is the description of the instinct work, confirming work initiation sequences. Just don't lose your head, okay? Abnormalities release enkephalin when agents work with them, and we collect this into what we call E-boxes. Depending on how the agent performs during the work process, the abnormality will either respond positively or negatively. When it reacts positively, it will release positive enkephalin, which produces a green PE box. Okay, I guess we can just click. However, if the abnormality reacts negatively, it will release negative enkephalin instead and damage the agent. Please keep in mind that when an agent's HP or SP drops completely, the work process will be forcefully terminated. So we've got one green and one red, one positive, one negative. So that was the damage because it was negative. Circles around Rose, think about the center of the earth. Very sad that Rose has to leave soon. Seems that he wants to follow them. An abnormality's mood might change depending on the outcome of the work done with it. This outcome can be predicted based on the number of PE boxes we obtain during the work process. An abnormality typically has 3 states of response: good, neutral, and bad. Depending on the outcome, it may use a special ability or attempt to escape. Okay, so we got mostly positive, so this should be a good result. Also, when a work process is completed, the PE boxes are collected. This one. In addition to PE boxes that count toward the daily energy quota, each abnormality also produces a set of PE boxes unique to them. These PE boxes are stored and shown in the abnormality's unique PE box counter. These can be used to unlock more of an abnormality's information or to extract let's just call it ego equipment. So this is the facility's energy and this is the abnormality's unique PE boxes. After work has been completed with an abnormality, you cannot send another agent to work with it for a short period of time. Until you work with it again, you can send your agents to work with other abnormalities or let them heal up in the main room. Whenever the department regenerator gauge fills completely, this one, employees in the main room will be healed. This will restore both their health, HP, and sanity, SP. Right? Yeah. The abnormality seems to be happy. Let's try ordering an agent to work with a new method. First, click on the agent with the primary mouse button. So instead of clicking the containment unit first, you just click on the agent you wish to order. Now we use the secondary mouse button to click on the containment unit. Please be aware that you can accidentally deselect the agent during this process. Okay, so let's right click. We still don't know much about this abnormality, so please order the agent to perform inside work with it. Inside work is a work to improve living conditions, ensuring containment units are in optimal condition. When an agent performs inside work, their prudence will increase at the end of the day, raising their sanity points. So previously, instinct was physiological needs. Now it's improving living conditions. Inside work increases their prudence and increases their sanity. So leveling up their SP and their prudence. Still level 2, so let's just do it. Let's read their comments later. Sincerely believes, likes people. Circles surrounding around all those. Things under the earth. You seem to have collected a sufficient number of these abnormalities PE boxes. It's time to learn about observation. Please press the nameplate displayed at the top of the containment unit. At the moment, it displays the subject number instead of the name. After unlocking the abnormality's basic information, the name will be displayed instead. So right now it's 0000. If you unlock the basic information, it should display the name. So let's open the encyclopedia. This displays the current information we have on the abnormality. As you can see, we still have very little knowledge about it, as most of it is locked away. Got abnormality details. We got another tab here, which is the abnormality story records. Seems to be something unlockable because it's kind of grayed out. This is the basic information. Anyway, let's just click. You'll need to spend some unique PE boxes we have collected from the abnormality to gain specific information. Please try to unlock the basic information about the abnormality now. So we got 19 unique PE boxes. Let's unlock the basic information. It costs 1 unique PE box. So 00000 is a standard training dummy rabbit, and its risk level is TET. Details and tips concerning the management of the abnormality are displayed in the management tips. If there's something the abnormality dislikes, it can result in the decrease of its cliff-off counter and cause problems with the rest of our energy production. Please be sure you unlock and read the abnormality encyclopedia thoroughly. Now, try to unlock this information. It's still covered, we'll just read it after the whole tutorial is completed. How the abnormality reacts to different work types is displayed here. The greater the preference for a certain work type, the more successful the work process is. So, we got our different work types. The number on the left indicates the virtue level an agent needs to perform that level of work. Please unlock all this information now. Okay. Alright, so if you send an agent with level 1 fortitude, here you're gonna get a high chance of success. Level 2, high, and so on. Let's unlock everyone. Alright. Continuing on, this area shows the maximum cliff-off counter of the abnormality. It will also inform you on whether an abnormality is capable of escaping, as well as its damage resistances when it does. Knowing what an abnormality is weak to will be crucial in handling any escape situations. Try to unlock this information now. So its cliff-off counter, whatever that is 1. And it seems to be weak to this white thing, and so on. You have now maximized the observation level of this abnormality. When you fully unlock a section of the encyclopedia, the observation level of the abnormality will increase. So yeah, slowly unlocks them. This will provide additional benefits when working with the abnormality, such as an increased work speed or success rate. So right now we got a +10 on both success chance and work speed. Once the observation level reaches a certain point, the extraction and production of ego equipment from the abnormality will become available at the cost of its unique PE boxes. Ego weapons are powerful tools that can help with the suppression of abnormalities. Please extract one now. So the more we learn about the abnormality, the more we can build equipment out of them, weapons and suits. So if you've read or watched Tokyo Ghoul, this is essentially what the CCG is doing. But instead of killing off the abnormalities, we're just milking them for energy, then turning that energy to equipment. Anyway, this is a TET level standard training ego, which is essentially a dummy rabbit shaped mallet. So to extract it, we just spend 1 PE box. Also, we got a suit, looks like this. Yeah. Well done, manager. Here you can view what ego gift that abnormality may present to an agent. If this information is unlocked, each time an agent finishes the work process with the abnormality, they will have a possibility of receiving the ego gift displayed here. Please note that the chances of this occurring tend to be rather slim. So for the tutorial, the chance is raised to 100%, but I'd assume that normal abnormalities would have very low drop rates. So after working on this, there's a 100% chance of getting this hat called Standard Training Ego, which will give 2 HP and 2 SP. Lastly, let us take a look at the abnormalities observation records. Please click on the text Abnormality Story. So let's go to this other tab. Right, so this is the description. If you've if you've been interested in this game, it's likely you've been interested in it because of the SCP Wiki. And this is continuing with the abnormality details. This is more of the description of this SCP, or abnormality in game. So this abnormality is in the shape of a training dummy used to train up-and-coming managers. Rumor has it that this abnormality was chosen to be used for training as it is the most docile and tame of any that we have extracted. It's called a training dummy rabbit, but it doesn't seem to enjoy carrots. It likes people. If it escapes, it's merely following the employee as they leave the containment unit. In this section of the encyclopedia, you can read through the observation records of the abnormality. New lines will be added as your observation level increases. Now then, it seems we've reviewed everything. Please exit the window by clicking on Close. Now that you have unlocked the basic information, some of it displayed at the top of the containment unit. Okay, so this is the Cliff-Off counter, the name. Furthermore, as we have unlocked the list of its favored works, we now know that the abnormality prefers attachment work. Let's try out ordering an agent to perform attachment work with it. Please click on the abnormalities containment unit. Additional parts of the basic information are displayed in this window as well, which can be useful to a new manager. Why don't you try ordering an agent to perform attachment work? So, more name, no more question marks. Attachment work. Seeing as you've learned the preferences for attachment work, the success rate the agent will have and the amount of time needed to perform the work are displayed. So it's very high success rate and takes 11 seconds to complete it. You can also see the various details of the agent by mousing over them. Okay, so if you mouse over, it pops up here. This will allow you to make mindful decisions when giving out orders. Please select an agent to do the work. We just have one agent. One last thing I should warn you about. Each time an agent enters a containment unit to work with an abnormality, the Cliff-Off meltdown gauge will fill by 1 tick. When the gauge fills completely, a Cliff-Off meltdown will occur throughout the facility. The number on the right of the gauge indicates the number of containment units that will be affected. Affected containment units will receive a meltdown alarm and will have an alert around them. So it seems that you can't just continue working on abnormalities and extracting energy from them. So there are some downsides in doing that. So as you can see here, if we do work 3 times, there is going to be something called the Cliff-Off meltdown. We'll see later what that is. So affected containment units will have a meltdown alarm and will have an alert. So yeah, the site is kinda melting down the more you extract energy. Kinda like, I don't know, an opposite nuclear reactor, because a nuclear reactor shouldn't melt down the more you extract energy from it. Or maybe if too much nuclear reactions are happening, there's going to be a meltdown. So there's some analogy there. When a Cliff-Off meltdown occurs, the containment unit will have a timer displayed alongside the alarm on top. This timer will slowly drop until it reaches 0. However, if the abnormality was already being worked upon at the moment of Cliff-Off meltdown, the timer will be paused. So yeah, this is a problem with the tutorial and with the magic of video editing. Okay, so I brought up a previous video. So this timer showed around 0. However, if the abnormality is being worked at the moment, the timer will be paused until the work process is finished. Okay, back to the game. Right. The meltdown can be resolved by performing works with abnormalities whose containment units are affected. So this abnormality is melting down. So to prevent the meltdown, just need to work on it. If the meltdown is not dismissed within the time limit, a portion of the energy that we have collected will be lost. So minus here, and the Cliff-Off counter of the containment unit will immediately drop to 0. Please try to prevent this from happening. You can find more detailed information in the work count penalties section of the manager's manual. Okay, let's just click. Each time a Cliff-Off meltdown occurs in the facility, the meltdown level increases. The higher the meltdown level, the more containment units that will undergo the Cliff-Off meltdown. Alright, again with the magic of having another video, there's also the possibility that ordeals manifest instead of a meltdown passing. So, seems like this is a meltdown, an ordeal. Anyway, we'll learn about ordeals later. Set out of a meltdown passing. If you wish to know what RDOs are, please consult the manager's manual and read the relevant article. Again, back to the game. I believe we have covered almost everything you need to know to begin managing abnormalities. If you have any desire to read more about it, which I would highly recommend, please look it up in the manual. The manual can be consulted at any time during management by pressing the F1 key. Now then, shall we finish the workday? All you need to do is press the button at the top. Okay, we completed the mission doing 3 work types, and as mentioned before, doing work increases the level. So yeah, it's a way to farm and level up your agents. Completing the workday, an agent who has performed work will have their status values increased according to the work types they performed. After these values pass a certain point, their corresponding virtue level will increase. So these are 4 virtues: fortitude, prudence, temperance, and justice. The agent's level can also increase if their virtues are high enough, and it seems that we've raised it high enough to level 3. Those who achieve this will be promoted and shown in the list below. So we got a promotion. You will also receive Lob as a reward for your hard work in accordance with your management ranking. You can ensure a higher rank by keeping more of your agents alive at the end of the day. The higher your ranking, the more Lob you will receive. However, if there is any abnormality loose when you choose to complete the workday, you will lose some of the Lob you would have otherwise earned. So we gained 3 of these Lob points and got an S ranking. You can view which missions you managed to successfully complete throughout the day here. Anytime you clear a mission, you will be able to conduct research in the department it came from at the start of the next day. So if you complete a mission, we can do some research thanks to that. Once management has been finished, you can elect to advance to the next day or retry the current day. Dead agents and lost ego equipment will be recovered if you decide to retry. However, you will also lose any abnormality observations, BA bosses, scrappy ego emissions. Pretty much, you'll just restart the day. But if you feel bad about losing your agents and your equipment, this is your last chance to retry. Otherwise, just click on the button to skip to the next day. From there, I will instruct you on deployment. Proceed to the next day. Okay, last chance to decide whether you want to retry the day or not. Would you like to advance to the next tutorial? Yes. Right, when a mission is successfully completed, you will be able to conduct a research project. The proposals for department's various research projects are displayed at the start of each day during deployment. To select the current research project, click and drag it to the open slot at the lower right. Then click Proceed to confirm your choice. Please try to do so with this example proposal. So we got a bunch of research proposals here later, but for the tutorial, it's just going to be a single one. And this is a temporary educational purpose integrated research. The research projects that activate assembly summons, geo visualization, and damage normalization will be activated temporarily for the duration of the manager's education. These functions will be properly activated once the requisite research is completed. So it seems that through the game, we are going to get these 3 upgrades, but for the purpose of this tutorial, we just need 1 research to unlock them. So in the game, it seems we need to complete 3 missions to research them. Okay, drag and proceed. Confirm. Do you recall how you were rewarded lob for your skill during management? You can see a total amount of lob you have garnered here. For this part of my instruction, I'll show you how to spend some of your lob to hire new agents, and how to deploy them. Let's begin by hiring some new agents. Try pressing the hire button. Here you can view the information and appearance of your soon-to-be new hire. You can adjust their virtues by clicking on the arrows next to each one. For example, if you desire to hire an agent with more HP, you can increase their fortitude. Let's try that right now. As you increase the virtue levels of an agent before hiring them, the amount of lob required will increase as well. The higher the values, the more lobs they will cost. You may need to consider thoroughly how much lob you are willing to spend just on one agent, as much as how much you will have afterwards before finalizing your decision. So getting Maxim here is, it will cost 2 lob points. Once you finish adjusting your new agent to how you want them to be, you can press the hire button again to finalize the procedure. Please do so now. We got Agent Maxim. The agent you were customizing has just been hired. How about we take a look at their information again? Please click on the agent. Just like we viewed their information during management, the information about your agents will be displayed here just the same. If you think your agent could utilize some strengthening in one of their virtues, you can do so by fortifying them. Please click on the Strengthen Employee button. Exactly as we adjusted the virtues during hiring, you can adjust them here by pressing the arrows next to each one. Please remember that as stated prior, it will cost additional lob to do so. Try augmenting Prudence by 1 level. And it's cost 1 lob point. Now to finish the fortification, please press confirm. It seems your new employee is ready to be deployed. Let's do so by clicking and dragging the agent with the primary mouse button over to the control team. Okay, well done. Now to give them some equipment. If you recall, we extracted some ego equipment from the abnormality yesterday. We can give that to our employees. To view it, please press the ego list button. Currently displayed is the list of available ego weapons and their information. Now, click on one of your agents in the list to the right to select them. Now, assign an ego weapon to your selected agent by clicking on one of the empty slots. So, by clicking on a slot, we can assign them. Just click on the left. So, it's now equipped. They're now carrying the mallet. Continuing on, let's take a look at the list of available ego suits. Please click on the ego suit tab. Just as before, you can assign an ego suit to one of your agents by clicking on an empty slot. Please take a moment to test equipping other employees with both ego weapons and suits. Alright. We got Noah and Maxim. Excellent work. We should head back to the deployment screen. Please exit the list. It appears there's a mission awaiting for you today. It's not necessary to clear every mission you have immediately, but it is recommended to handle them as soon so you will be able to conduct research the following day. So you need to complete, again, 3 work processes. Last thing, if you have any further questions involving the management process or deployment, we got our manual here. You can always review the manual by clicking this button on top. The manual can also be opened at any time by pressing the F1 key. Next, I will briefly explain to you how to deal with emergency situations that may arise while you are managing the employees. When you're ready, please begin the next day of management. Would you like to advance to the next tutorial? Well, yes. Separate protocol. Allow me to explain how a manager should deal with emergency situations. The number displayed here is the CliffOS counter. It will decrease if you happen to violate the managerial guidelines shown in the Abnormalities Encyclopedia or fail to prevent a CliffOS meltdown in time. So now you must be wondering what happens when the CliffOS counter drops down to 0, no? Shall we find out? Please select the containment unit and order an agent to perform repression work. Okay, we changed our people. Got Aaron, Gregory. Manager, standard training dummy rabbit has broken out. Can you dispatch some agents to deal with it? When an abnormality's CliffOS counter reaches 0, they will either escape or use a special ability. Such things can lead to rather inconvenient situations. This particular abnormality happens to escape. Our agents cannot work with it while it is escaping, so we need to suppress it. Please click on the escape abnormalities. So when it hits 0, it escapes. Abnormalities can inflict 4 different damage types. Red, which decreases health. White, which decreases sanity. Black, which decreases both HP and SP. Pale, which decreases HP by a percentage based on the target's maximum HP. So yeah, its attack type is red. Agents equipped with Ego can also utilize one of these 4 damage types. Furthermore, abnormalities have a set of defenses for these damage types. Some forms of attack may be weak, while others could be fatal. You can suppress an abnormality more effectively when your agents attack using the damage types that an abnormality is weak against. So it seems it's weak to white. But thankfully, we've got white. This abnormality deals red damage and is weak to white damage. How convenient that our agents are all equipped with Ego suits which resist red, and Ego weapons that deal white damage. One thing, if an agent is using an Ego weapon whose grade is higher than the abnormality's risk level, for example, a death is greater than a sign, they will deal more damage to the employee and the abnormality and take less damage as well. In our current situation, the Ego's grade and the abnormality's risk level are the same. So Tet is equal to Tet. So those bonuses or the debuffs don't apply. When the suppression UI is on display, you can take note of what Ego each agent has been equipped with before sending them into combat. Hovering your mouse over an agent will allow you to check up on their defenses. Now, please click on an agent to begin suppressing our escape abnormality. I got our clerk here. Mad from seeing the training dummy. Coming face to face with an abnormality, especially so when it is on the loose, can be quite shocking and frightening for your employees. Just like when an agent enters a containment unit, they may receive fear damage. If the risk level of the abnormality is high, while the agent's level is low, it will cause a heavier strain on their mind and lower a larger portion of their SP. So this clerk seems to have a very low level, so they lost their sanity. In contrast, this suave newbie Neville is calm. Beta. It appears that this abnormality is a bit too strong for just one agent to suppress. Now this is a good time to remind you that if an agent dies, the ego they were assigned will be lost as well. Now, let's order the rest of the employees to help suppress this abnormality. Please select the two agents by clicking and dragging on them with the primary mouse button. Next, click on the abnormality with the secondary mouse button to immediately order them to suppress it. Please be aware that you can accidentally deselect the agent during this process. It's much safer, easier as well, to give your orders when you pause. You can pause the flow time by pressing the icon in the lower left or by pressing down on the spacebar of your keyboard. So let's just right click this dude. Let's try the pause. It's not working in the tutorial. It's heavily scripted. Man, I'm still running around. You've done well handling this situation. Let's move our employees back to the main room of the department. Please select them all by clicking and dragging with the left mouse button. With them selected, use the secondary mouse button to click on the main room. It's important to note that you can also use what you learned here to have them wait on standby in other locations, such as hallways and departments. So if you want to move them here, I can just right click here. But I'm just going to right click them here. Okay, there was an earthquake, and it seems Arang is now insane. Sure, Arang's gone mad. Please handle them soon. When an employee's sanity falls to 0, they will panic. Panicked employee will show different behaviors depending on their highest virtue. If you wish to learn more about this, please refer to the section Employee Panic in the Manager's Manual. Now, please click on the currently panicking employee with the primary mouse button. So this is similar to the suppression UI. Agents can be recovered from their panic when their SP is restored completely to 100%. SP can be restored with the white or black ego weapons. Conveniently, all our agents are equipped with ego that deal white damage. Please select all available agents and order them to suppress the panicked employee. Saw my dead colleague yesterday. We had a nice dinner and coffee together. He seemed to be doing well. Coated with blood and brain fluid. You can see it too, right? And the SP is filled up. That was excellent. Truly well done. If you ever happen to fall into a situation you would wish to redo, such as turning back the time to avoid the death of an agent, you can do so by pressing Escape and clicking Rewind to Memory Repository, or by clicking Retry. When you choose Memory Repository, you will go back to the most recent imprinted day. So the second one is go to a checkpoint. Retry is, on the other hand, will restart back to the current day's deployment. It will kick you back to the deployment screen of the current day. Lastly, let's call all our agents back to the main room of their department. You can of course do this by what we did earlier, selecting them and manually moving them with the secondary mouse button. However, there is an even easier manner. Next to the generator gauge of each department is a recall button. You can use this button to summon all your agents back to their respective home department's main room. Please try doing so. And they're ordered back to the main room. This concludes our basic manager training and education. If any questions or concerns happen to cross your mind while you're on the job, you can always refer to the manual by pressing F1 or by opening it from the escape menu. Lastly, there will be tooltips that appear if you mouse over the various interfaces and wait for a moment. I wish you good luck and lasting health at Lobotomy Corporation Manager. So F1's not working here. So we're kicked back to the main menu. Alright, F1 doesn't work here. So I am going to click the first day and I'm just going to edit that all out. So we can just, for the rest of this episode, we are just going to read through the manual. Then after that, I'm going to wrap this episode up, then do the first day again. Anyway, as mentioned, in the power of video editing, let's read the manual. Skipping through the intro. Right. This is the manual. We got basic information, management preparation, management process, emergency situations, and finishing management. Let's read the basic information. Okay, your goal as a manager. So we're a manager. You are in the role of the manager of Lobotomy Corporation. Your job is to safely manage abnormalities and produce an energy source known as enkephalin. You will have a daily quota that must be met each day in order to progress to the next day. So if we satiate our abnormalities, we can extract energy from them. Who are the agents? The agents are your subordinates who follow your orders to work with the abnormalities. They are your hands, so to speak. Agent virtues. So these are the virtues of our agents, essentially their stats. Instead of the usual D&D strength, intelligence, wisdom, this is sort of the same. Like fortitude is sort of, it's health points, so it's sort of endurance, constitution, and prudence, sort of wisdom, intelligence. But anyway, let's just read what the virtues are in Lobotomy Corporation. Got fortitude. The HP of your agents will increase as their fortitude increases. An agent's fortitude will increase anytime they perform instant work. So HP, physical strength and vitality of an agent, drops to 0, they will die. Alternatively, prudence is SP. Sanity points, it's increased by insight work. Mental strength and stability of an agent, if this drops to 0, they will panic. Then the other two are temperance and justice. Temperance is work speed and success rate, also formed by attachment work. Work speed and success rate very self-explanatory. How fast they complete and the chance of getting more positive enkephalin, so more successful. And finally, justice. This is more for the attack speed and movement speed, so sort of agility, but lore-wise, it's more of how they're more focused on repressing. So it's repression work, repressing abnormalities. So attack speed, movement speed, that's just basic game stats. Levels and promotion. Agents. Agents begin at level 1 and can be promoted up to level 5. The higher an agent's level, the greater their skill and virtues they have. Each virtue also has a skill level from 1 to 5. Again, as mentioned by tutorial, if you reach a certain threshold from working, so say you work enough of, say, insight work, your fortitude will increase. Fortitude level will increase. If it's not enough, it's just going to increase the skill. So like this, temperance, if you just did one work, it's just going to be raised to 1, but the level is not going to be increased. Though in this case, it's already level 5, so it's not going to increase either way. Level of virtue corresponds to the level of the related work. Alright, so some of the levels of their virtues Once you reach a certain sum, they will be promoted. So here, they previously were 8. Now they are 3 plus 3, 7, 12. They already are level 4. I think it's 12, but I'm not sure. Around 12ish, you go from 3 to 12, 3 to 4. Anyway, work types. So, how do we extract energy from abnormalities? There are 4 types of work that can be performed with abnormalities. For each individual abnormality, you will need to find the most appropriate type of work and steadily proceed to produce energy. Instinct mentions physiological needs. It requires physical contact, so requires a high level of fortitude. It will benefit from increased HP. As mentioned again, insight is living conditions. No need to know about this because it's already covered in the tutorial. Attachment, a work to satiate social needs. So all abnormalities carry desires and will, and as such, social needs are included. As this work involves acting as a playmate or companion, great care is required as only limited interaction is allowed. To avoid crossing the line, agents need to show a high level of caution and temperance to perform high-level attachment work. So they need to control themselves. So that's why you need high temperance. Employees who conduct this work will benefit from increased work speed and success rates. And finally, repression. So a work to restrain existence, while the other works focus on handling desires, this one stifles them. As this work involves regulating various emotions and desires, careful and objective decision making, as well as strong rationality is needed to control the pace of the work. Agents need to show a high level of justice, the ability to make definite judgments to perform high-level repression work. Employees who conduct this work will benefit from increased attack and movement speed. Right, employee abnormalities. You done with the employees? What's an abnormality? Abnormalities are entities that emerge from the depths of humanity's deep and ancient dreams, the collective unconscious. We can extract enkephalin from them with careful and appropriate management. Okay, so we don't need to worry about securing and containing, securing them. We don't really need to worry about that. All we need here is to contain and milk them for energy. Right? Risk levels. Please be aware that no abnormality can ever truly be considered safe. Please refer to the risk level titles below when managing abnormalities. The higher the abnormality risk level, the more difficult it will be to manage. So in the containment unit, it's here. In the encyclopedia, it's there. So all of them are designated with various letters of the Hebrew alphabet. So the first level is Zayin. With little to no aggression, Zayin abnormalities will cause least harm to your agents. Their damage tends to be minuscule, and they may have a positive effect on the employees. Next level is Tet. These abnormalities keep missing employees with abnormalities can inflict varying degrees of injury to your employees. However, as long as your employees follow the proper managerial guidelines, they will not cause much damage. Hey, abnormalities of this class can easily kill a number of employees. You will have to pay twice as much attention as you do for Zayin or Tet. If the situation goes wrong, several employees could be lost in the bloodshed. There's no need to be concerned though. With your excellent management, they will be in control. Vav. It's not wow, it's Vav. It's again a Hebrew letter. It's just by convention we write it down as WAW for romanizing it, but it's Vav. Essentially letter V for Hebrew, for the Hebrew alphabet. These are high risk and carry devastating force. Most will be hostile toward employees, and the death toll could reach into the dozens. And finally, Aleph. I'm gonna call it Aleph, whatever. The most dangerous. So the bodies are piling up, and we've got mounds of dead bodies. You should devote as much concentration and attention as possible to this risk level. You'll be thankful if the abnormality is suppressed without ravaging entire departments. Please do not take our warning as an exaggeration. So in SCP terms, you might consider Zain to be safe, Tet to Vav as Euclid, and Aleph as Keter. Okay, attack types. This was already mentioned in the tutorial. Red is physical, white is sanity, and if you run out, people will panic. Black damage, complex of physical and psychological damage. So both HP and SP. Now, pale is death itself. Pale shaves away the soul. Even the toughest body and wisest mind will not matter. All are equal in the face of death. When pale damage is dealt, HP will be reduced in proportion to the maximum HP of the employee or abnormality on the receiving end. EGO, which we'll just call it Ego. So EGO is extermination of geometrical organ. Refers to the equipment produced to confront abnormalities. We have ego weapons as a means of offense and ego suits as defensive equipment. Ego can be extracted from abnormalities that have been managed up to a certain observation level. As ego is forged using archetypes extracted from abnormalities, they can inflict or resist red, white, blue, pale damage types, which cannot be reproduced normally. Each ego has a grade from Zain to Aleph. One thing you should know is that the higher the ego's grade, the more effective it becomes. Ego with higher grade will have higher attack and defensive power against certain attack types. So here's a chart of high grade will benefit, low grade will deal less and take more damage. So yeah, if it's strong, just a hit will kill you. In terms of the ego suit, it deals 40% damage instead. Comparison, there's a huge difference. Well, it take twice as much damage. And that's done with basic information. Let's proceed with management preparation. Okay, this is the deployment UI. We've seen this in the tutorial. So the right side panel, viewing the highest level ordeal. Here you'll be able to see the highest level of ordeal that may appear during the current day. Ordeals will manifest as the workday progresses. I think ordeals will be discussed in a later manual entry. Law points, again in the tutorial, it's for hiring and fortifying agents. And you gain them if you successfully complete a day. The less deaths, the more law points you get. And this opens the ego list and the hiring button. Alright, this is the department information. And show the missions. I'm not going to go over all of this as it's already discussed in the tutorial again. This shows the contained abnormalities. Abnormalities whose encyclopedias do not yet have their basic information unlocked will be displayed as a question mark. Also, you can click on the description and the tabs, show you the description and the role of the department, show you the research that has already been done and what it allows, and finally it shows the functions of the department depending on how many workers are alive and long-term service pay. We'll go back to that later. Hiring, I don't think I need to go through this. This was extensively covered in the tutorial. And in addition, you can customize their appearance for an additional 1 law point. Fortify, same as in the tutorial. Using ego, and this is again mostly covered in the tutorial. So it covers again the attack type, damage range, the speed, and the attack range. Suits show, yeah, if it's lower than 1, it means it's less damage. Higher than 1, it's more vulnerable to it. You can sort it by grade. No, this is filter, not sort. There is no sorting in this game, just to be clear, which is one of my personal gripes in this game. So you can filter them by specific grade. You can click on the details to see additional stuff for the equipment. Some requisites, so require certain virtual levels or agent level. And you can also see the ego gifts listed in the employee information. So just click it, just click the person, click guy, and it's already equipped. So deploying, drag and drop, we've already seen this in the tutorial. Moving on to the management process. Wow, lots of information. So if you're going to play this game, you're going to refer to the manual a bunch of times. I would suggest that you would read the manual as you go along, say once every few days or once every 2 days, 2-3 days in the game. So you will be refreshed on what you might have missed, because you will encounter all of this anyway. Alright, let's just cover what isn't discussed. This was discussed, the ordeal wasn't discussed. We're going to go through that later. Mission details. Speed adjustment. This is unlocked later in the game, but you can click on it here, or just use the keyboard commands, which is the spacebar for the pause, Q and E for the slow down and speed up. Also, this is the work log, so in case you want to know who was working on when, the work log is there. The regenerator gauge fills up. It will slowly restore it. However, this gauge will not function when there is an abnormality there. So you can't just lure an abnormality and just kill them while you're slowly regenerating. Okay, basic controls. I've already mentioned this. Agent controls. Hovering shows it. This is covered in the tutorial. Recalling, also covered in the tutorial. All of this is covered, though this part isn't really that much covered. So these are the ranges of how you will know if it's good, neutral, or bad. You can also see the maximum E-box encapsulin that you're going to extract. And the rest is covered by the tutorial. Same thing, the left clicked. You can click this guy, click that guy. You can select, either drag, select, or just click, then right click. Right, containment UI, covered in the tutorial. Work process. So again, this is covered in the tutorial. Alright, this one is not totally covered, but yeah, it's mentioned but not totally covered. So each time enters a containment unit, the meltdown gauge will increase by 1 tick, and also they will be struck by fear, and depending on the level of the abnormality, they might become alright, it's just calm, or totally terrified and run out in a panic. Also, this is important. Please make sure to keep in mind that some abnormalities may immediately attack or do something when an agent enters a containment unit if you did something wrong, i.e. the managerial guidelines are not complied with. Right, progress, different success rate, already mentioned. Successful, you're gonna get the PE box, otherwise you'll get damaged, and the damage is discussed in the UI. Now, if the HP goes 0, they will die. If the SP reaches 0, they will run out and panic. Either way, the whole thing will end and it will just get stuck at whatever it is. Now, ending the work process, yeah, it ends once this whole gauge is filled, whether it's positive or negative. Alright, Glyphos counter. So, it's essentially a counter of how many mistakes you can do with the abnormality. Some abnormalities, just one mistake and it goes to 0 and it will escape or do something worse, or some will have very high, or some will have none. So please be careful that it doesn't reach 0. Alright, word count penalties. So higher level, higher risk abnormalities have what we call a Glyphos overload. So to prevent you from farming them, or to make farming harder and working harder, this is implemented. So each time you do some work for a VAV or an Aleph, you will get a penalty for each succeeding work. However, once you complete a Glyphos meltdown or reach a Glyphos meltdown, all of those penalties will be removed and it's going to go back to normal. So you can see if there is a Glyphos overload, you can see this here, and you can also see it, the success rate is highlighted in red. Alright, Glyphos meltdown. So when you reach a certain point, like that, in the meltdown gauge, so each time you work, it's increased by 1 tick. When it's filled, a Glyphos meltdown can occur, and this is the number of possible affected containment units. And once they are affected, they will have a meltdown alarm. You have a certain amount of time to work on them. Once you work on them, the alarm will go away. However, when it hits 0, you will lose PE boxes, and also the Glyphos counter will go down to 0. Meltdown countermeasures. Alright. So the gauge will not rise until meltdown. Reduced success rate from Glyphos overloads will be reflected in the work. Alright. Finally, ordeals. At certain levels of Glyphos meltdowns, an ordeal will manifest instead of containment unit meltdowns occurring. Ordeals are a form of abnormality that is unrefined. Ordeals come in 4 risk levels, corresponding to the times of day: dawn, noon, dusk, and midnight. As the level of Glyphos meltdown increases, higher levels of ordeals will manifest. Ordeals will hinder the management of abnormalities in a variety of ways. However, as ordeals are also a form of abnormalities, they can be suppressed just the same by ordering your agents. So to learn more about them, you can just the suppression. We're going to reach that in a later part of the manual, but ordeals themselves, they're basically abnormalities, just not contained properly, and they pop up as you move along. So each cliff house meltdown, there is a chance that an ordeal will occur and show up, and you have to suppress them. All right. So the department functions. So you got these guys are clerks. You can't really control them, but they provide benefits. So based on the current number of surviving clerks in the departments. So per department, you have some bonuses. The effectiveness of benefits will increase as the department expands. So if the department is still new, you'll be stuck at level 1, but if fully expanded, you're gonna get full level 3. So you can see here. And also, how many percent are alive. So die or panic during workday, it will decrease. So if less than 80% are alive or sane, you're going to go down to level 2 or level 1 or none at all. It's just 0, none at all. Right, continued service benefits. Agents gain benefits for the number of days they have been in the department. Continued service benefits vary for each department. Agents who have gained such a benefit are gifted with special title and a unique signifying armband. However, if an agent that has gained the continued service benefit is transferred to another department, the effects of the armband and title will be removed. So this encourages you to just not move around your agents a lot. So level 1, 1 to 2 days of service, level 2, 3 to 6, and level 3, 7+ days. So you got an armband. And additionally, an even more unique armband and benefits will be granted to a single agent in the department who has worked the longest among their peers for more than 7 days. So that would be the department captain. Alright, opening the encyclopedia. This is already discussed in the tutorial. Everything's already discussed. Unlocking it. And alright. Right, tool abnormalities. This is not discussed in the tutorial, but we sometimes get them every 5 days. Unlike most abnormalities, tools are abnormalities that emphasize the concept of usage instead of management. So yeah, just like an SCP, some SCPs are just tools and just locked away and don't really escape, but they can be used. So you got different tool abnormalities. You have your single use, so you can send an agent to use it. There's going to be an immediate effect. Equipable, go to the room, equip that tool, later you can return it. Channeled is you go to the tool and stay for a long period of time, channeling it. Right, how to use tool. Just use it as you would with other containment units. But instead of having your work types, it's just use. Same thing with order UI. Alright, similarly, the research is based on the type of the tool. This one's a channeled, so if you somehow totally use it for a cumulative of 3 minutes, it's going to unlock all of it. Just 10 seconds, just gonna unlock this. Right, moving on. Emergency situations. An abnormality escape. When the cliff house counter of an escape abnormality reaches 0, the abnormality will leave its containment unit. We've seen this in the tutorial. Note that it's not just due to a bad work result. You can also decrease the cliff loss counter from a violation of management methods. So that's why we need to learn about the management methods first. Escaping abnormalities need to be suppressed quickly. To learn more about it, yeah, just suppress it. Alright, yeah. Employee death, HP 0. Everyone who plays video games know that. Also, if they have an equipped ego, those egos will be destroyed and will have to be recrafted. If all agents from a department die, the success rate of all containment units in the department will decrease by a significant degree. So, similar to a Cliff-Oth overload. If all agents die, every clerk in that department will immediately commit suicide, and the clerk benefit for the department will be lost. So in addition to the lowered success rate, clerks will also die. Alright, employee panic. We've seen this, but this is expanded in this page. Any employee whose SB drops to 0 due to damage from a white or a black attack will panic. Panic agents can be brought back to sanity when they have recovered their SB fully from healing attacks with white or black ego. So depending on the highest virtue agent, they will do something differently when they panic. So if you get Fortitude, they will murder other clerks. So they will run around attacking everyone. Prudence, after a certain wait time, they're just going to stand there, and if you don't save them, they will commit suicide. Temperance, well, they're just going to run around doing nothing, and you will spend minutes trying to catch them and bring them back to sanity. And probably the worst is Justice. They will go around and lower the Cliff-Oth counter of containment units. Alright, if you finish the day with agents in panic, they will be disposed of. Of course, higher level agent, they got higher SP, so it's harder to bring them back to sanity. Alright, emergency levels. If something happens to the site, we have different emergency levels. So we got the first trumpet. We've seen this in the tutorial. The background music changes to the first trumpet, first warning. Just a minor threat, easily manageable. Second trumpet, it's a bit more difficult, but with a competent manager, can handle this much. Of course, a lot of employees will die. And finally, third trumpet, something you don't want to reach, but yeah, it would be a miracle if you recover from this situation. Most employees have died and it will be impossible to suppress breaching abnormalities. So yeah, if you reach third trumpet, reach for the retry button. Suppress abnormalities, just referred to by the other manual entries, but we're not going to go through this because this is already covered in the tutorial. Alright, bullets. I'm not sure I want to talk about this, but yeah, later on in the game you will be able to use bullets to do some stuff. So I'll just skip this. If you want to read this in your playthrough, go ahead. And finally, let's just quickly go through all of this. This is already discussed in the tutorial. Alright, every 5 days, memory will be imprinted. It's essentially a major checkpoint. Since we don't have any save files in Lobotomy Corporations, this is the only way to have a sort of checkpoint. So we essentially have two save files. One is the memory repository, and the second one is the current deployment. So when you retry it, you're going to go to the start of the day, memory repository, you go to back to the checkpoint. Note that unlike retrying a single day, going through the memory repository will maintain every unlocked observations and generated ego. However, the people and the departments will go back to where they were. So this is a way to farm or actually cheese the game to farm ego and observations. And for this lore run, I will avoid doing this until a certain point. Alright, the roguelike part of the game, wherein each time you advance to the next day, you will have the opportunity to choose which abnormality to extract. Ensure you carefully read the extraction quote, so there are quotes under them, before choosing. For this lore run, I will use a randomizer to randomize the abnormalities that we choose. Again, up to a certain point. Alright, expanding our site, final manual entry. Every time to advance to the next day, you will need to choose what department to expand for a newly extracted abnormalities containment unit. Each time you expand a department, the expansion level will increase. When the expansion level of all current departments reach the maximum, new departments will become available for opening. In cases where two departments can be opened at the same time, either department can be opened and expanded at your choosing without the need to maximize the expansion level of the other. This is going to be covered. Oh, anyway, we'll just go through that as we go along the lore run. Anyway, that's it for the manual. For the next episode, we are going to start the game from day 1. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.